What Christian denominations would Overwatch characters be? Part 3. Starting off today with Zenyatta, and he would be a part of the Franciscan Order for Catholics. This was a tough one because Zenyatta isn't Christian, but if I had to line up his spirituality with any of the Catholic traditions, he would most definitely be part of the Franciscan Order. The Franciscan Order was founded by St. Francis of Assisi in the year 1209. St. Francis was born into a wealthy family, but after a dramatic conversation, he gave away everything he owned in order to follow Christ in radical poverty. He wanted Christians to live a simple life, preach peace, serve the poor, and recognize the dignity in every human person. He even referred to creation as brothers and sisters, seeing living things as reflecting God's goodness. 8 centuries later, Franciscans are still serving around the world through missions, hospitals, schools, and ministries to the poor. Zenyatta owns almost nothing. He lives as a wandering monk, teaches peace before conflict. He believes that every living thing, including omnics and humans who hate each other, possess inherent worth. That vision of universal dignity reminds me an awful lot of St. Francis' belief that all creation ultimately belongs to God. Moving on to Ramatra, and he would be a part of the Dominican Order of Catholics. The Dominican Order was founded in the year 1216 by St. Dominic. St. Dominic saw the confusion spreading throughout Europe, and he believed that Christians needed people who could explain the faith clearly through education, preaching, and careful study. Because of this, Dominicans became known as the Order of Preachers. The order actually produced some of Christianity's greatest theologians, including Thomas Aquinas. According to Catholic tradition, Our Lady, the Blessed Virgin Mary, entrusted St. Dominic with the Rosary as a powerful tool for meditating on the life of Christ and strengthening the faithful. Over the centuries, Dominicans became especially associated with preaching and promoting the Rosary. Before becoming a revolutionary, Ramatra was actually a monk. Throughout much of his story, he wrestles with justice, suffering, and the future of his people. Like the Dominicans, he isn't content with keeping the world as it is. He wants to understand it, teach others, and actually make a change. However, his willingness to embrace violence is a stark contrast to St. Dominic and his mission to preaching through charity and love rather than force. And last but not least, my favorite character, Emre Sarılı, and he would be Greek Orthodox. Emre is Turkish, and modern-day Turkey actually sits on one of the most important grounds for Christian history. Long before it became Istanbul, the city of Constantinople was one of Christianity's greatest centers. In fact, many of the books in the New Testament were written to churches which are located in what is now Turkey. Places like Ephesus, Galatia, and Colossae were among the earliest Christian communities. In the year 330 AD, Emperor Constantine the Great established Constantinople as the new capital of the Roman Empire. The city eventually became the seat of the Ecumenical Patriarch, which is a pretty important figure in Eastern Christianity. Even after the fall of Constantinople in 1453, Orthodox Christianity continued to preserve its liturgy, theology, and art throughout the entire Eastern Christian world. Emre is one of Overwatch's oldest and more quiet heroes. His story reminds me of the endurance throughout Orthodox history, a tradition that has weathered wars, empires, and immense change while still staying deeply rooted in its ancient faith. Like and follow for part 4.